Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. Welcome to day 25 of AU August. This is our superhero AU. It looks like we only have about a week left, and I'm so thankful that you guys have been with me through this journey. Let me go ahead and read to you Villain to Boyfriend Speedrun. There were few things in this world more irritating than long-winded teachers. At least, that was Remus's opinion. Honestly, the only reason he had even decided to go to college was because stress was a great factor for bringing out villains. A mix of people getting their first ever taste of freedom while also falling under the pressure of the so-called real world. No longer emotionally supported by their family or finding out they never were. It was such a chaotic mess, and Remus liked being able to stop those who thought they could rise to power just because they had a little strength. People with powers weren't necessarily rare, but they weren't a majority. A lot of powers were simple and mundane, things that didn't pose much threat to society. But other powers were fantastical. Remus thought any power could be fantastical if you knew how to use it. For example, he and his brother could draw anything and pull it into the real world, including lightsabers, though their creations never lasted for more than an hour. This meant, with a sketchbook and a pencil, Remus could dream up anything he wanted to. Roman's immediate thought was to use those powers to help people, even when he had been a little kid. And Remus might have been fine with him going off and being a goody two-shoes if it weren't for the fact that his brother was dumb. He got himself into dangerous situations with no way out, and, evil twin be damned, he wasn't going to let his brother die. He was the only one who got the honor of killing Roman. As Remus brought a drawing to life, something too lanky to really be considered a cat, he turned his attention to the student sitting in the front row. Each day, he'd come into class with his hood up, hiding himself from the world. But he sat in the front where the teacher and other students could easily see him. He looked 2 or 3 years older than most of the students taking this class, and his leg always bounced as the teacher lectured, no matter what the material was. Remus had seen him go and talk to the teacher more than once, but their professor always seemed a bit curt with him. That was the type of person who became a villain, if they had powers. So Remus wanted to intervene before it got too far. It was fun knocking down assholes who thought they were owed something by society. Less fun knocking down people who had reached the end of a rope. Sometimes they had to stop people, even if their anger and frustration was justified. Remus, get your creepy cat. Roman obviously wasn't sure what it was. Off of me. Nah, he likes you, bro. But Remus didn't look at his brother. Instead, his eyes followed the hooded student, watching as he once again went up to talk to the professor. Tell you what, I'll make the cat go away if you trust me and walk away. What? Just trust me. Roman must have followed where Remus was looking because after another moment he nodded. Okay, I'll trust you. But I'm waiting just outside for you. Remus nodded, snapping the cat away and pulling up his sketchbook. Just in case. The conversation below him was getting heated, and Remus drew, just doodling for now, filling his armory with eldritch horrors. The student pulled out a piece of paper, showing it to the professor and pointing at it in frustration. His whole body was shaking. Remus was ready to fight. His tension rose with the students until the situation seemed to diffuse. The student backed up, and Remus relaxed just a little. Then their professor apparently needed to get in one last jab. There was a blur of black, and suddenly the student had the professor pinned to the wall. But before any real damage could be done, he backed off, looked up at Roman, his face going pale as he ran. Remus blinked twice before running after the other student, knowing he wouldn't catch him. He did, however, catch up to his brother outside the door. Roman, you know Tall, Dark, and Stormy who sits in the front row? He got speed powers and is probably still a bit shaken up. Also, he saw me. What? Did he see you use your powers, or did he just see you? He just saw me in the back. Come on, let's go. Where? I don't know. Where would you go if you were hiding from somebody? Probably over the library, on the 5th floor, right? You really want to go storming through the quiet section of the library, looking for someone who might not be there. That's fairly obtrusive, even for you. Excuse you, I am a model citizen. I plan on quietly combing through the entire library until we find him." "You? Doing something quietly?" he asked. "Unless you want me to go through with an air horn," he giggled. Roman only rolled his eyes and didn't argue further. Remus wasn't completely certain he would find his little peregrine in the library, but it felt right, and he was normally pretty good on his intuitions. He knew it was probably best he get some other eyes in the sky. "Roman, birds." His brother knew what he meant, and immediately began drawing birds, something that would be native and inconspicuous, though they all did have some kind of crown design on them. Roman was always so predictable. Remus, on the other hand, began drawing a sentient patch of haze, releasing it to look through the library's lower floors, while Remus headed up to the 5th floor. He didn't expect to see his target curled up in the very back, literally the first place Remus looked. He and Roman had taken opposite ends, determined to meet in the middle. As he slowly approached the student, he noticed the backpack tossed to the side, already forgotten, and the man curled up, knees completely to his chest. His breathing was uneven, and when he heard Remus's movements, he looked up and flipped Remus off. Be still his beating heart. Remus didn't know a lot about panic attacks, or whatever this was, but he knew when someone needed help, so he sat down cross-legged, trying to seem less threatening. He pulled out his phone, texting Roman and telling him to stay away for now, then looked up what to do if someone is having a panic attack. He read over it and then looked back at the other man who had taken to trying to ignore him. "Hey, I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to talk. I'm going to sit here and quietly draw, okay?" He made sure to speak slowly and put a pause in between each of his sentences before he pulled out his sketchbook and set it on his lap softly. He tried not to stare at the other man and just drew quietly while waiting for him. The instructions online said not to assume anything, so he was trying to do just that. Eventually, it paid off, and the other man spoke up. "What do you want?" His voice was raspy, and Remus could tell he was exhausted. "Kinda wanted to talk about what happened in class there." "Are you going to turn me in?" "Do you think I would still be sitting here if that's what I wanted to do?" "You texted someone." "My brother. Dumbass would have come barreling in trying to save the day, and I think that would have made it worse." He seemed to relax a bit at that, shoulders slumping as he closed his eyes. "I'm Remus, by the way." "Virgil, I guess," he muttered. "Pleasure to meet you. So, what's your issue with the prof?" For a few moments, Remus didn't think he was going to get an answer, but apparently, cornering Virgil in the library after seeing him attack a professor made him at least a little willing to share information. "He wasn't allowing me to use my accommodations to get makeup work for the final, even though I have all of my accommodation letters and everything." He gripped his jeans with his hands tightly. I'm trying so hard." "Yeah, teachers can be dicks. Want me to help you record him the next time you ask about it? I could go to the dean for you so that you don't have to worry about it." Virgil looked up at him with the most beautiful set of gray eyes, and he might have been mistaken, but one looked subtly lighter than the other. "Why would you do that for me?" "Because good people only turn bad when someone isn't there to help. Plus, I fight bad people, so I just don't want to fight someone so pretty." Virgil huffed. "The professor is probably going to kick me out anyway. I'm not registered with powers." "I mean, there are 2 witnesses that say you don't have super speed. I was in the classroom, right? And my brother was right outside." Virgil opened his mouth up and then closed it again. Thanks. That helps a lot. Maybe with that I could get switched classes or something, since he's discriminating against me." "Might be best. Though, maybe I could get your phone number," Remus asked with a smirk, "just to check in with you." Virgil smiled. It was a tired smile, but a smile nonetheless, as he went to pull out his phone. Remus wasn't sure he had ever defeated a villain by flirting with them, but he liked the outcome of this one. Thank you all for listening. Again, this was Villain to Boyfriend Speedrun, our Hero AU for the AU August series. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.